Welcome to the first annual Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic, brought to you from the Bow Valley in beautiful Alberta, Canada. Our host venues are the Banff Curling Club in the iconic Banff National Park and the Canmore Golf and Curling Club in the gateway to the Canadian Rockies. The event is proudly sponsored by Qualico. We create what we believe in. The Malcolm. Experience Canmore's crown jewel. Vision Electronics. Your best price. And Bow Valley Credit Union. Growing together. The Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. Up next. Welcome back, everybody. We are live here in the lounge at the Banff Curling Club in beautiful Banff, Alberta. It's a beautiful day outside, but inside it's just as nice as we get ready for the finals of the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. In our finals, we have Peterman Gallant playing against the U.S. reigning national champions, Anderson and Dropkin. We're expecting an exciting game. Some great curling this morning to lead into this, and now we're here in the finals. And to bring you the finals, we have Mac Guy, the 2016 U.S. National Mixed Doubles champion, joining us, and he'll be partnering with none other than 2018 Olympic gold medalist in mixed doubles, John Morris. Welcome, gentlemen, and take us away.
Thanks, Steve. Pretty excited here to be doing the finals. It's been a heck of an event. I get to join my American friend here, so we'll have the inside scoop from both the Canadian and the American perspective, eh, Mac?
Absolutely. Cross-border bipartisanship.
There we go. So just to give you a bit of a preview, we have Jocelyn Peterman and Brett Gallant. They've been very dominant in mixed doubles in Canada over the last few years. Brett Gallant was a skip in his day in juniors, and he's learned a lot from playing with Brad Gushu, and you can tell it's really transferred over to the mixed double scene. So it should be a great matchup. I know the Dropkin team and the Anderson team have been playing really well together for the past few years. Can you give us a bit of some insight on them, Mac?
Yeah, I mean, they're a young team. They've kind of played off and on with each other. Tremendous upside. They both work really hard, and they just both they're good fit for each other in terms of just teammates. You know, some teams just really work for reasons that aren't always readily apparent, but for whatever reason, Corey and Sarah just have a real good chemistry, and they make lots of shots, which doesn't hurt either.
So what would you say, have you played against Anderson and Dropkin before? What would you say would be some of the keys to their success today?
Well, Corey's a good sweeper. I would say they both throw it really good. Obviously they're both in the U.S. High Performance program, so they play a lot. They're very polished. They work really hard at it, and I think that in terms of teams that play both disciplines, I think they do put a little bit more of a focus and effort on mixed doubles than most people that play both. So hard work pays off, and they're evidence of that.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Sarah yesterday, and she said that it's their 5th or 6th event already this season, which is quite a bit for playing mixed doubles and both men's and women's.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we have at stake today is for first place we have $10,000. It's one of the biggest, actually is the biggest purse on the mixed doubles World Curling Tour all season. And then for second place, we have $5,000 on the line. So that's one of the things that makes an event so great, is when you can get a purse like that. And a large part of that is thanks to our wonderful sponsors, for coming on board, especially our title this year with Qualico. Being able to get a purse of that size is just fantastic. And when you get that, you draw a lot of the big name teams because they want to come and play for that cash and that moolah. So it's been a heck of a week, and now it's just coming to a head this afternoon here in Banff, and we're excited to see what we got in store.
Absolutely. First class event, and 2 great teams in the final, so can't wait to see who winds up on top.
Now I believe Dropkin and Anderson were 5-0. 5-0, so they by default they will retain the hammer in the first end here because they finished one game ahead of the Peterman and the Gallant duo, who finished at 4-1. So whoever has the better record in the round robin gets choice of hammers. So Dropkin and Anderson have elected hammer, and we're going to get started with this right away. Here we go.
second to get the stones all polished off.
And what you'll find is that the one team who has the higher record, they get the choice of hammer or rocks. And so the Gallant and Peterman duo have chosen rocks. And the interesting thing about the finals, you actually get to choose rocks from any 4 sheets, which is kind of nice because you only need 3 good ones or 5 good ones, I guess. So when you get to choose from all the sheets, it's sure nice, and that's a bonus of being in that final. Is there's no other teams out there that can be using your rocks, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And something we talked about in the game previous is that when you don't get your choice of stones, you don't know how many. You just don't know as much as they react, and you get to choose your stones and feel a lot better about throwing it, and you feel good, throw good, and lots of good things can happen, and starts off with a good one there.
Yeah, I think we'll see some exceptional play today, especially when you do get to choose your stones like that. You're very confident in them, and we should see a lot of great playmaking here in the final. So Jocelyn with her first one, she's just froze that back one, and looks like Anderson and Dropkin are going to be throwing, trying to follow her down here.
Good late movement. That's been one of the big things throughout the weekend that has stayed consistent. Is especially for mixed doubles, it is curling, but you definitely want a lot of curl when you play mixed doubles. And the rocks finish hard, they finish late, and that's exactly what you like for mixed doubles. And I don't know if they were trying to play the tick there. I don't think so. That seems a bit of an odd play to start. But at any rate, click the guard over into play and leave a corner. And Brett coming down. Looks like he's going to try to sink one around or sink one right on top of that pile.
Yeah, it seems. I talked to Colin Hodgson, and they just finished playing this American duo in the semis. And they said that their strategy was a little different than they're used to. And it seemed to they play that tick a little bit more often than most teams. So we'll see how that pans out against Peterman and Gallant here today, because it is a bit of a different strategy. I think most teams would have been tapping or freezing or tapping that back one, but we'll see how it turns out here for them.
Yeah, and another thing too, especially about Sarah and Corey, is they do tend to throw a bit more handle than most teams traditionally do. I know Sarah's a fan. You're no stranger of the Rachel Holman 6 and 6, yeah. 6 seconds, 6 rotations. Yeah. Get that good gear action going. So not surprising to see they play a lot more ticks than other people. Brent with a good one. Kind of just replaces that center guard again. It looks like Corey's going to come around. He's probably going to tick it. That's pretty tight ice.
Mm-hmm. Looks like they're just playing a tap on that back one. And based on what the ice conditions have been doing this week, draw to the button has been about middle of 12. So when you're edge of 8, that's a good indication that it should be about back ring here.
Yeah, absolutely. And off it. Doesn't look like it. There comes that late movement. Still high side on it. Ooh, it might be high.
Yeah, it looks a little heavy here.
Click on the outside. Oof. Well, I was having this chat with Matt Wozniak the other day, our good friend, and I made the comment is you truly become a mixed doubles player when you learn to accept that you're just going to miss shots you'd never miss in the 4-person game.
Yeah, true.
So, and that happens. So mixed doubles happens.
Yeah, I think if you're talking percentages, in team curling these days, you need to play about 90% to win most of your games, and in mixed doubles, I think if you're playing about 75% this week,
yep.
you'd be you'd be pretty happy with your record. I think you'd have won most of your games. So that's the difference, and that's why you can't really get down out there, because if you miss a shot or two, it's all about bouncing back and making sure you can come back with a strong next end.
Yeah. Well, in mixed doubles as well, you're never safe. So like if you give up a 3 or score 3, you better just try to score 3 the next end and just keep going. Like it's a lot of fun. It's high offense curling. It's what the people demand, and that's why it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, Brett was a great draw right in there. They're lying 2 buried. Big run back here for Corey. This is these type of shots kind of make or break the end. If he's able to make this one early on in the end, then it can have a real different impact on the game. And if he's an inch off here, either way, then it'll be advantage Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. And he looks like he's pretty close. Yeah, I think he's got it. So, stuffed one of them, but that's a better lie than what he had. And especially if you kind of click on that first one, you're, digging out for the rest of the end. And so I'm sure Brett's just going to go ahead, nice and easy, sink another one around, be patient.
Yeah, Brett sure is. We played him in the quarterfinals, and he had this draw weight just dialed in. I don't think he missed maybe one draw the entire game, so he was sure dialed in, and this is kind of his bread and butter.
Yep, absolutely. He can lean on a broom to boot. So let's see, just taking the intern.
I think they're taking the hit here. I think they're
playing the hit on that back one.
You bet. And it seems like you can play, if you play the right weight, you can either make the roll to the back 4 foot buried, or you can actually come right into that other yellow. So you have two options here. I think it's a smart call.
Absolutely.
It's a bit more defensive of a call, but it also, he pretty much eliminates the chance of the other team scoring a multiple point this end.
Yeah, and absolutely. And the other thing too is that this is the first end, and it gives you a bit of a look down the center of the ice as well. Most of the time you're playing outside in with mixed doubles, but if you can get an opportunity to see what the ice is doing down the middle, that's a bit of a twofer.
Yeah, it could come in handy when the power play is called later in the game.
Yep, absolutely.
He was just playing low weight here.
Yep, nice and easy. Board?
Looks like it.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's hooking. Oh, they're just going to get to nose, I think. It's not bad, though.
No, that's a good shot.
Nope.
One thing, one of the strengths of this Peterman and Gallant team is they've both played back end in their careers, especially in their junior careers. They played a lot of back end, so they can call line really well together, and now they're playing front end. So they've really had a good kind of dynamic in their career, and it's given them different perspectives, and I find that really bodes well in their favor when it comes to mixed doubles, because the mixed doubles game is so all-encompassing of every type of skill set of the game. So the fact that they've been able to play that many different positions already in their career, I think, is one of the reasons they're such a good mixed doubles team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think versatility is the name of the game. There's no such thing, in days gone by, you'd be, known as a hitter or a drawer or, this or that. I mean, you got to basically have all the shots. You got to be able to sweep it real good. You got to be a good teammate. You got to call the weight as well. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. How many times did Brett go out of PEI? Quite a few.
Yeah, I remember those. I remember seeing this young kid out of PEI with the hockey mullet.
Yeah, that's right. That hair. Oh, man, I forgot about that. The big PEI hat and the mullet.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
He was letting her flow back in the day, but yeah, he had a great junior career. I think he won at least one Canadian junior.
At least one, yeah, absolutely. And Corey's just going to kind of follow down, try to do the same thing, get a little bit of a better angle. Well, it's going to sit right there. And Brett might try to play the same thing, a little bit better now. We'll need a little bit more of a roll to the button. If he can do that, it'll probably be another Corey Dropkin run back.
Yeah, I think this is Jocelyn's shot here. So this is their last shot, and it looks like it's still low enough that if they nose it, it shouldn't give them a double back. So I think it's safe to play this hit and roll, and if it comes up a bit and they nose it, they should still be safe. So looks like that's the shot they're calling.
Yeah, and it's the final. It's you see kind of sometimes goes a little more wide open, but it looks like everyone's just kind of taking their time. This is a marathon, not a sprint, and if you play the highest percentage shot, a lot of good things can happen.
And if Joss does make a good one here and rolls to that buck button, it'll really put some heat on Sarah early on, because that'll be a tough draw. That's no bargain. So you'll notice with some teams, they have the same person that throws will sweep as well. But with the Jocelyn and Brett team, the Brett will sweep most of the rocks because he's, again, such a power sweeper, and Joss is able to call really good line from behind the stone as opposed to in the house.
Yeah, and that's one of the really things that I think is really unique and kind of fascinating about mixed doubles is there's a lot of different ways to do it. Some people will sweep their own rocks. Some people will, have one sweeper all the time. There's just, it's, and that's rolled a little farther than they were hoping. Just didn't quite finish the way they thought.
This will be an interesting decision here because they have a riskier shot, which is a double for two. The fact that Jocelyn rolled out has given them that opportunity. But they can also play the draw, which is a bit of a safer shot. And a bit more higher percentage, but the reward isn't as good. So would be interesting to see what they call here. We'll see how aggressive they're feeling early on.
Yeah, I think they're just going for the draw. I just saw Sarah. Yep, there we go. Saw Sarah make the swoop. Okay. So, but at the same time, that draw is not as easy as it looks. Especially with the curl, it's very late and it's very hard. So clicking on that top one's a disaster. But I mean, the best shot to call is the one you think you can make, eh?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because she put the ice down, but it's similar ice for the hit and the draw. So yeah. I'm thinking she's throwing the in off here actually. Oh, yeah. And you know what? I kudos to her. I think that's what we'd play as well. It's early in the game. You got a decent chance at a deuce, and you're in the final, and you're here to make shots. And it looks like they're going for the gusto here.
Nice, like it. I've said this a couple times in the broadcast earlier today. Mixed doubles is not a coward's game, so you got to go for it. And they're going for it. Ooh, they're narrow.
Yeah, Corey's really got to dig on this one. It's close, really close.
Nice.
What a shot.
Oh, is that any good?
Great shot by the Americans here to start off this one.
Boy, she's been making a lot of those today. Like she had essentially the same shot to take out Haji and Chelsea earlier.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the end of that one, but I heard she made a beauty.
Yep. Chelsea jammed on the back, left Sarah tailor-made half-rock double, and she didn't miss it. So well practiced at that, at least today.
Yeah, that's a great start for a lot of good shots made that end, and Sarah's come to play, it looks like.
Absolutely. So
hopefully we get every end finishes up with a shot like that, eh, Mac?
So yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for. It's what the people demand.
Yeah. So just a bit of history on Brett. He actually attended 5 straight Canadian Junior Championships representing the Spuds out of PEI. Wow. He holds the record for the most wins, much to Brad Gushu's chagrin, because I think Brad Gushu he's got to have very close to that. But Brett's won 48 games at the Canadian Juniors, and he won the Canadians in 2009 and 2010. So he's obviously a very polished player, and he's that back end experience is vital when it comes to mixed doubles.
Absolutely. So,
you know the history with Sarah and Corey for representing their country at juniors? I know Corey's been there a few times.
I think Corey went just once, actually, as far as I'm aware, and I know Sarah's been a couple times. I know that actually Corey played in the Sochi venue. The year it was there, so it must have been 2013. Yeah, absolutely. So I know that, but they've both, they've played in, it'd be hard to keep track. They've both played in a lot of junior finals, a lot of big events. They're both very dedicated athletes, and, it shows.
This one looks a little hot here from Jocelyn.
Yeah.
She's coming in here with a bit of extra weight than she was hoping for.
So something that we were talking about in the game earlier is that, it's been about a week since they touched up the rocks, and they might be straightening up a hair, which in turn will make them go a little bit further than you'd anticipate if you were playing on Thursday.
And I think that this is a good, real telltale of great ice is that when you're 5 or 6 feet heavy like Jocelyn was there, it's going to hold that line a lot longer, and you're not going to get the same result. And that's just a sign of great ice, is that when it's really sensitive and it's weight sensitive, and you got to be a skillful player to make shots, and that's the type of ice this is.
Absolutely, and really hats off to Darren Moulding and Kevin Beauchamp for all weekend just been living at the curling clubs, doing what needs to be done. It's a thankless job. It's kind of like an umpire. You only notice when it's not very good, and looks like Corey's going to do the same thing. Oh, he's going to click. Ooh. That is not what he was hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, a couple uncharacteristic misses here to start this end. I think that, as you said, it's been a wonderful mixture of the Canmore and the Banff ice makers really working well together. It's the first event I think that I know of that's ever been run at both events or both venues, and not only Darren and Kevin coming in, but also the two ice makers, Jim and Brian, working so well with the local staff there, and so it's been a real test in teamwork, and they've come through in spades.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's takes a village, right? A couple of them, and you know, this has just been a great event from tip to tail. So, you know, and the final, I'm sure, will live up to the billing as well. It's a good shot from Brett.
Yeah, they got a bit of an angle now, and they're a slight advantage to the blue stones now. So Corey's going to have to come back with a strong second one here.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you like kind of just chipping that back four?
Well, I think because they don't have the hammer, I think freezing one in there, you betcha. So if you can bite the button and freeze one dead buried on there, then it kind of mitigates the risk of you giving up a bigger end. And you know, I think that's their game plan right now, especially getting a deuce in that first end. Is force them to one here would be a real big success for the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to force an opponent, but it's kind of doubly so in mixed doubles just because there's so much offense and, you know, so little margin for error. You know, and yeah, it's shrinking down the scoring area, especially when you don't have the hammer, is always a good thing to do. And Brett and Joss have an advantage in the way too that they just played on this sheet. They have a little bit more idea of what's going on, and that'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, in mixed doubles, it's all about getting an angle. So it's a lot of cat and mouse, and you know, you see a lot of the same shots like freezes and taps until finally you get an angle where you can maybe throw some big weight and you know, jostle them around so you can you know, be sitting in a better situation. So you're seeing a bit of cat and mouse here until the angles get set up here.
So the way I like to describe mixed doubles is it's like playing Jenga but in reverse.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. So Brett's just playing the intern draw.
Yeah, it's gonna kind of freeze it. Well, you can freeze on either one, and it's good.
Yeah, and if you can just, if the line's good, I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep this just to tap that yellow onto the outside of that blue, and then that'll give them a real good angle. So we'll see what this intern's doing here.
Yeah, it's looking pretty. It looks pretty happy with it. Oh, now he's gonna get going on it, but they're just trying to freeze down to the top one. At least that's what the line's looking the best at right now.
Yeah, it's finishing in here big time here.
Yep, absolutely, big hard finish.
They got to sweep it.
It does seem like it's curling a little bit more toward sheet two than the other way as well. And that's actually going to over curl. Look at that.
We got here at the Banff Curling Club.
All right.
We got major gas leak here. Hopefully all the participants know where the muster point is outside.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The gas leak here. You okay over there, Steve? Or? Luckily you weren't wearing a skirt, Steve.
All right, and so Corey and Sarah, kind of an interesting little setup here. Angles, I would say, are probably a little more favorable towards Corey and Sarah at this point. Are you kind of like just throwing a cap on that one, or are you like maybe even bumping that rock of Brent's back and just kind of sitting on top of theirs?
Yeah, Brett's would have been preferred to be on the other side of that one, so he's actually over curled by a full rock, and this gives an out to the Americans. They can tap this one. I would say if they can get to the nose or a little bit inside, could put them in more of an offensive position here. So we'll see. Looks like it's coming in pretty close here. Yeah, I'd say nose or even 2/3 on the inside of this could be a real good result for USA here.
They're real close.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Good.
And the key to that one was the weight. If you see where that blue one that they tapped is now, if Brett tries the double on those yellows, it's going to go right into that blue. So if he had any more weight, it would have pushed that one back further, and it would have opened up the double for them. So those kind of that kind of that weight finesse is crucial, and they nailed it.
Yeah, especially with mixed doubles, especially it's. Curling has a very funny way of one foot can determine whether it's the best shot or the worst shot you could have possibly thrown. So that was a real good weight control on Corey's part. Good call by Sarah. So now what's Brent looking at here?
Well,
maybe that slash.
He's in a pickle now. That first one, or his last one he threw that over curled on him, kind of put him in a bit of a jam. So I think he's trying to still play this double, and if he hits that second yellow, thin enough, only a quarter of that one, it might actually be able to squeeze through, and it just off the back end of that other blue. So ideally, he's going to nose this. I would say, if he noses this, it'll just clip that one off the button.
Just pick it clean.
Yeah, and then it still would be it'll still be a pretty decent position for Canada here. So this is a big shot for Brett.
And he's on it all the way.
It's curling.
Oh boy.
I think he's a little tight here. Yeah.
That's not what he was hoping to do. So that's a big.
No, I think it's obviously advantage to Americans now. If they freeze another one in there, I don't know how. It'll be a tough score for Canada. But the one good thing Canada still has going for them is that middle blue stone that's biting the button isn't going very far.
No.
Ideally, if the U.S. can just freeze one just on the low side of that one on the button, it would be a real good power position for them.
Hard to get them out after that. But they're spending some time looking at, does there ever anything they can do coming off that blue? I don't think so. I don't think they can hit it high enough to pick it.
Yeah, I don't think they can. It's only edge on edge, that other blue, and I'd be really hesitant to throw anything on that top yellow, because if you ever open up that one on the button, they could throw a nose hit on that one on the button for 4.
Absolutely.
So that's the first and foremost is to guard that shot.
Absolutely.
And if you have the right weight and you can get one frozen in there again, then it'll be really hard to get those out.
Yeah, and looks like they're just gonna. I think they're just overthinking it a little bit. I think Sarah's going to go down and just say, no, just the draw, Corey. We're thinking about this too hard. Yep. Just the draw. That's, sometimes I think one of the most important things about mixed doubles is like you talked about, the angles are very important, but it's also important to not outfox yourself. You know what I mean? I remember talking to Ed Lukowicz once upon a time, and he said the more time you spend hoofing around, the lower your chances of making the shot gets.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because at the trials last year, we found early on in the week we were second-guessing ourselves, and a few times we changed our minds, and more often than not, it didn't work out. It worked out not in our favor at all, and so we made a adjustment halfway through the week and said, you know what, we just got to go with her gut, go with her instinct, and if you've been curling long enough, and for Caitlin and I, we have it in our DNA since we're 5 years old, so usually our instinct is a decent option, and it really helped change the week for us.
So, speaking of that, John, I've been meaning to ask you this. Who's got more provinces now, you or your dad?
Well, my dad has Manitoba, Quebec, and Ontario.
Yep.
And I've represented BC and Alberta and Ontario.
So you're tied.
We're tied, yeah. But I have to say, this looks like a great shot coming in here. If they get by the first one, let's see here.
Oh, that's real nice.
Yeah, that's a fantastic shot.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to move that middle one much.
Well, let's. You know what they have.
You think she can throw it hard enough to spill all of them?
Joss can throw it pretty hard. I would say. What the X factor is this? What's interesting, if she makes this well, this back. I wish I had a telestrator here to, but this back one and biting the back forefoot. Don't be surprised if it comes into play. There's a chance that it might come into play if they're able to get this top yellow one over their other blue. Because if she hits it into a third of that one on the forefoot, then both those ones that are there should squirt out of the forefoot and at least into the 8-foot. And then I think their shot stone would be that one that's socked in there. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how Jocelyn can throw it, almost as hard as any woman in the game. So she needs to hit about 2/3 of this stone, I would say, with peel weight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, let's cue it up. And he's getting ready to throw. Out turn peel.
It's looking good.
Right away.
Joss made every one of these against us, and she looks like she's real close. They might have swept this. No, look at that.
Not any good.
So it looks like 2 blue. Another beauty for two here. We've seen two highlight reel shots.
Absolutely. This is it's what the people demand, John.
Yeah. Who says women aren't as good as men in curling? There you go. You just saw two beauties by the women in the game here. So.
Yep. What a great shot. What a great start to the game.
What would you say if you're looking from over top there? Who would you say shot rock? Second shot rock, I guess.
Boy. I think yellow's got it.
You think so, eh? I'll bet you a beer it's blue.
All right.
All right.
Take you up on
I'll
that.
bet you a beer. Canadian beer too. The one that's not 3%, okay?
Well, all right. I'll take. Sounds good to me, man.
Back in the day, and when you watched curling on TSN, when Ray Turnbull was the commentator, they had this thing called the Moose-o-meter, and it would just be like, it would be this like imaginary measurement that would, and whichever one it touched first. It was quite interesting. I'm not sure how accurate it was, but it was fun to say Moose-o-meter.
Well, Vic was very entertaining, Ray. Well, Vic's entertaining too, but Ray's a very entertaining man, so he is certainly missed. All right, what do you think? So, let's see.
You got yellow.
I got
blue.
I got blue.
It's hard to tell. Well, there's no overhead camera to see here, but let's look at. It's blue.
Oh, look at that.
Bartender. Bartender, one Canadian beer.
What a shot.
I think I must have a better angle on it.
Yeah. Better eyesight.
Yeah. So two beauties here to start the game. We've got a 2-2 tie. If this is any indication of what's to come, we're going to have a heck of a final here to end off the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic here in Banff, Alberta.
Yeah, and it's just exactly what you want. You know, I mean, this is the best mixed doubles bonspiel in the world. I mean, full stop. International mixed doubles bonspiel, and you want to see lots of offense and lots of great shots. You know, when you get into the final, I mean, it's there's a buzz in the crowd, and it's easy to see why. I mean, this is great curling so far.
Yeah, Joss has been really accurate with those big weight hits. She made it probably the shot of the week against us in the seventh end. We were up one and they had the hammer. She made an in-off that you couldn't even tell if it was there, and to get two, and that really changed the complexion of the game. So she's obviously continuing that exceptional shot making here.
Well, she's playing second this year, so gets a lot of opportunity to play those shots, certainly. Similar ice quality and conditions, very comfortable in this sort of a setting. I mean, all the players are. They're two very polished teams, both very successful. I think both teams have won a couple titles this year, mixed doubles wise. I know. Did Corey and Sarah win one of the legs of the World Cup? I think
they lost. No, they might have won the
one in China.
They might have won the one in China. They were in the final for sure. They either won or they lost the final to that Swiss team, to the Norwegian team. I think.
Team, yeah. The season's so dang long now. It seems like 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. But I know that Brett and Joss, they're both on two of the best women's and men's teams in the country. So they sure play a lot with their men's and women's teams. And but they mentioned how much they enjoy when they do get a chance to play mixed doubles together. It's kind of a nice change of pace for them.
Yeah, and the thing that I've found too, and I'm sure you can probably speak to this, is mixed doubles is kind of almost cross-training for four-person and vice versa. I think mixed doubles makes your four-person curling better, and four-person makes your mixed doubles better. It definitely makes you appreciate your teammates more.
Yeah, you betcha, especially the sweeping aspect of it. So this is another same call they played in the first. They're playing this tick shot. So
that's fascinating.
I'm not sure if they're doing this because they're playing a team like Jocelyn and Brett that really can put the heat on you, or if this is a common strategy for them. But this is one of the newer strategies we've seen in this sport.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's just kind of to even give them a little something to think about. You know what I mean? You certainly don't see that too often. I mean, most of the time when you see the center tick is the power play. If you're trying to steal the power play, you'll see the center guard, and then the other team will tick the center guard. But certainly not in like a traditional end. So it'll be interesting, but looks like they're just going to try to replace that a little tighter. Looks like they're going to slide a little heavy.
Good position here.
It's going to be good, actually.
So interestingly, they play the tick with the first one, and on this one they're coming in the house and just trying to tap this one back. So they've kind of changed their strategy here, and we'll see how it pans out for them.
Taking ice for, looks like about board.
I'm thinking they're probably playing just back ring, trying to get to nose if they can, but we'll see. Yeah, it looks
Corey's on it.
looks like it's real close. It's hanging there again.
There it comes.
You got to be careful on this ice, especially later in the week here, that if you get on it too early, it can really. I found that when I was playing with Caitlin, is that sometimes if we got on the rock a bit too early, it'll hang out there a bit, and as a result, you'll hit it a little thin, and that's just what happened with Corey. There is he swept it early because they had to go a little bit for line, and all of a sudden it was a different shot coming down there.
Yep, extends the momentum, extends the break point, doesn't get to quite the spot that you want. I mean, it's chess on ice with murky execution variables. And
So it looks like they're
just going to come around.
Canada's still line one. Brett and Joss are line one here, and it looks like they're going to try to get another one buried. One of the safeguards for them is the fact that they have their own blue guard up there. If that was a yellow guard, then you'd be a little bit more careful here, because if you put it in a position where they could make a run double at all. But the fact that it's a blue guard, then they're running blue into blue, and it's a little bit more of a safety net for Joss and Brett here.
Yeah, and they look pretty close on this one. Just coming around. I'm going to try to give this one a little massage, a little light maybe. They're just going to slide right into the top of the house.
Yeah, that's a
Fine
big miss. No, that's actually a big miss. You bet, because now the U.S. can lie 3 here. So if they wanted that in the 8 foot at least to outcount their
looked a little
shooters.
deeper. Looked a little deeper from this angle.
this end, yeah.
Well,
So this is where if Corey makes a nice hit and roll here, he can really put the screws to Joss and Brett, because
big opportunity here.
you bet.
And
Hit it early again.
well,
They gotta be a little-
side too.
Looking close though.
It's like they're just gonna sit there. Oh, no, that's
Not bad.
okay.
Not
That's
bad.
all right. It's an okay outcome. You're gonna give Brett the same shot though.
Yeah, and that's the only downside of that is you give Brett an out here,
Yeah.
and he usually
he's not
doesn't
gonna
miss
miss
two
it
shots
twice.
for
Yeah,
two shots in a row. So if he had rolled under there, he would have been too buried behind
A little
two
hooped.
guards, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
big shot here for Brett. If he can get underneath here, it's a huge advantage to blue.
Tightening up the ice a little bit from what he had. They must be kind of picking up on that it's might not be curling as much. Look like rocks away, giving it a little scrub.
It looks like a bit more line than they had, but with less weight. So you'll see this come off, and it looks like they're real close here.
Yep.
I think he's got a great shot coming in.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
That's a beauty. So that's a game changer. That's an end changer right there. If you can make, a few of those in a game, that sure changes things. So I don't know how Corey's gonna get at this blue now. He's gonna have a really tough run double, and the problem with the run double is that their blues are going into your yellows all day. So.
Absolutely. You got to hit that pretty well to not jam it.
So I think they might actually be playing a freeze in here. One thing with mixed doubles, especially with only 5 rocks per end, if he makes a good freeze here, then it gives them a good out. But this is a crucial shot. If he can freeze one right on about 3/4 on the face of that one, then all of a sudden the U.S. could potentially have a big end building.
Yep, just kind of talked again about just shrink down that scoring area. See what they can do. Just try to give Sarah something to work with in her next shot. You'd like to get the angle on that, right?
Yeah, you need to be about 3/4 or even half a stone on the high side frozen. Looks like it's over curling just a hair. We'll see. Yeah, he's wrecked on that top one, but
Oh boy, that's no good.
no, It's not ideal, but it still gives them an out. Like he still has that angle raise that could potentially be for 2 or 3. So Joss and Brett are going to have to deal with this yellow one somehow, either by guarding it or hitting it.
What do you like here, John?
I think,
I can see all of it.
based on what they did against us, I think they'll be hitting this. You could guard this, but I think Joss is a bit more comfortable with her finesse hits, especially having a guy like Brett sweeping. You have a bit more margin of error there. So I think they'll be hitting this with about, hack weight, making sure they don't jam.
Kind of hit that and stay.
Yeah, hit and stay, and if you roll, even if you roll in at all, it's fine too.
Yep.
Actually, ideally you want to be rolling in
I
because
was going to say you don't want to give them the slash.
you betcha. So if in a perfect world you make the hit and roll in here with hack weight, and it eliminates that yellow stone and gives them a tough shot for one.
Ideally, just kind of roll half under, tease them a little.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. And then they just got see if they can swoop on the other side, get a bigger bite of the button, which I don't know. I don't think they can get a bigger bite of the button on that side.
No, that should be. I think that draw is almost. I don't think there's a draw for one. So
I don't think so either.
you'll see Sarah throwing some kind of hit here as long as
Something wacky.
that blue one's still on the top of that button.
And again, there's a lot of mixed up. You don't want to be forced into playing a mixed double shot where there's a million things that can go wrong and precisely one thing that can go right.
Yeah.
That's what you try to avoid.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like a downweight hit she's got playing here with about hack.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. It's hanging a bit,
Off
but
it, they're hanging. Oh.
I think it's got to nose.
Yep, I think they're just fine. That's just fine.
Ooh.
Oh,
A little tighter than I think she wanted to play it there, but
fancy.
yeah.
Yep. Now they got the slasheroo.
Yeah, this is another big shot. It seems like every end's coming down to just a big weight Hail Mary kind of thing at the end.
Big,
So
hard shot, absolutely.
she'll be trying to hit, I think, about 3/4 of this front blue stone. They're also looking at the high angle on the yellow. It's hard to tell from here, but it looks like they might have that as well. It looks like that's there as well for a deuce, maybe even a 3 that way. So
That's how you get 3, that's for sure. That is a bold move, but that's how you get to a final like this, is being bold and making shots. So let's give it a go, guys. See what you can do.
yeah, and obviously the confidence is high. They've both they've been playing great so far. So these shots look a little bit easier when you're making a lot of shots like you've been making already. So.
Absolutely.
So she's playing, it looks like about a half stone run back, maybe even a little bit thinner for 2. And if it does happen to stick around, you might even get lucky and get 3 out of it.
Yeah.
I think they'd be pretty darn happy with even 1 or 2
Yeah,
here.
1 or 2 is great. 1 or 2 is great.
And it's similar. This is a similar shot she had in the first end, just a little bit wider out here. So we'll see if how it's running about edge of 8 foot here.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot. I mean, she's been making a lot of these. So, if you're feeling it, go for it, right? Yeah. Not a ton of weight, though.
Right side. She's really got a curl of hair, but it's really close. I think she's got it.
What a shot.
Oh, wow. How's that for curling, eh?
Oh, boy. My goodness.
Yeah, she got 2 there. That was a heck of a shot.
Boy, what a treat. What a treat this game has been.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shot. So U.S. goes ahead 4-2. We've seen 3 absolute fantastic shots here to end every end. And if it continues like this, I think the final will be 10-8.
Yeah.
With a bunch of highlight reel shots for TSN that we can show later on.
Absolutely.
So just want to take a quick break here just to thank our sponsors, our wonderful sponsors we had for the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic. We have our title sponsor in Qualico. They came on board and really helped us put on a great show here in Banff and Canmore. We had the local Malcolm Hotel, brand new hotel here in town that a lot of the players stayed at and loved it. Visions Electronics, that was also a silver sponsor, and the Bow Valley Credit Union. They're a local bank that has really jumped on board. And we also also have some smaller sponsors, but I want to give them a little bit of love too. Banff Lodging Company, Riverstone Insurance, I Love Canbo Motors, Cam Clark Ford, Asham Curling Supply, Shoppers Drug Mart, the Town of Banff, Bow Valley Tim Hortons, Sunset Alpine, Rocky Mountain Soap Company, Canmore Alberta, and Golf Design Services Limited. And last but not least, I know the Town of Canmore had a big say in putting this on as well. So before we start the third end, just want to say a big hello to our viewers from Australia and Mexico.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of international flavor watching the stream. We've had Australia, Mexico, Costa Rica, Russia, all over. So thanks for stopping by, and your reward is a real treat of a mixed doubles game.
Buenos dias. Throw another shrimp on the Barbie, mate. That's all I got.
Hopefully a dingo did not eat your baby.
So, yeah, we've been treated to some great curling here. First three ends. It's 4-2, and Sarah just followed up that wonderful raised takeout for 2 with a perfect draw in there to start this end. Now Jocelyn Peterman here to follow her up. Just going to give a quick background on Jocelyn. She was a 2012 Canadian Junior champion as a skip. She was also a 2016 mixed doubles Canadian champion with Brett Gallant. And with the Chelsea Carey team, she won the 2016 Canadian Scotties Tournament of Hearts. And I know I have to say, just from watching her, she had a great junior career, and she's been one of the best players I've seen transition from the junior game into women's. And she's really put herself on the map as being one of the best female players in the game. I think she could almost play any position at a really exceptionally high level, and she was able to make enough waves and over the last few years that she was recruited by the Jennifer Jones team to play second. And now that Jennifer Jones team, as good as they were with Jill Officer, is just as good with Jocelyn Peterman there at second. And they've got one of the best young teams, I think, in the game. And Joss will be a key contributor to that team moving forward.
That's high praise. That's where's she out of? Is she out of Edmonton?
Red Deer, actually. I think she's a smaller town near Red Deer. I know they were there for Christmas, her and Brett, and they helped put on a bit of a clinic with the locals, maybe the juniors. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Good.
And one of the cool things about Joss is actually her dad came and played in this event as well. Lowell Peterman played with Brittany Tran.
He was on the stream with us earlier.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Well, that's great.
So that was really cool to see, and it was great to. I think they actually stayed together and got a great visit in, and they were in our pool. Lowell and Brittany were in our pool, and they gave us a heck of a game. Brittany in the second end made a double for 5, and really made us a little bit nervous here. So
yeah, that'll tighten your shorts a bit.
You betcha.
And speaking of that, Brett's just going to run this straight back.
Yeah, the Americans have continued their good play with a real good start to this end, and the yellow really have a bit of an advantage here. That was a slight miss by Brett, and it allows the U.S. to stay on the offensive here and probably put up another guard.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing quite a few rockets from here on out.
Yeah.
The question is, where's the best place to put this guard? Right there?
I think so. I think you want to, if you can, you just want to make sure there's no hole there.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they have a hole, but even with the hole, they really have some tough angles going right now, because if you hit it on the high side of that top yellow, it's going right back onto that other blue, and there's nothing really good that can happen to for the Canadians right now. So they're going to need some bailing out right now by Brett on his next 2 shots.
Yeah, you're going to need at least 2 stones to get those off the button.
You bet.
Oh. One of the things I kind of like about Sarah, to her credit, is she's very expressive with the line calls. There's no doubt what she wants you to do, and that's a good thing. So I know Corey likes to sweep, so he needs an emphatic off. Yeah,
he's a young fella, jacked. He really works hard at the game and hard at keeping in good shape, which is great to see. And he's just raring to go out there. So sometimes you got to have the reins on guys like that. Absolutely. And I think Sarah does a good job with him.
Yes, absolutely. She's make no mistake, she's the pilot, and Corey's just a great shooter and a strong back, and they make a great team. So looks like Brent's looking at what's the best way that I can do this. Trying to think, do you ever try to hit that, you ever try to run that back across the face and see if you can kind of, I mean, you're going to lose your back blue one anyways, but do you ever think that first stone kind of squirts across and out?
I think at this point, running something back, if you were, I'd be running that blue straight back, and then you lose the second yellow, but it's looking so poor, I guess, for the blue right now, that sometimes your best defense is a good offense. So I think they're changing their strategy here, and they're going to try to freeze one right in that pocket, and that's going to open up some better angles and some better options for running something back on his next one.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you just a lot of times when in doubt, just toss it in the center, right?
Looks a little heavy here. This isn't good. He wants to get inside that pocket, and right now it's only going to be, it's starting to come now. Really want to be on the inside, though.
You know, that line has bamboozled them a couple times this game and a couple times last game, too. It just doesn't curl up as much as the other side.
Yeah, it seems, as you said, it might be getting a little bit straighter. There's the other factor is there's not a lot of games out there. There's no other games out there, so the air temperature might be a little bit cooler, which might result in a little bit straighter ice out there for them.
Yep, absolutely. So now, Sarah and Corey just kind of figuring out what the best way to place that is.
Yeah, if Corey can get one in this pocket, and actually he's guarding, which is a good call too. Do you know if are they line 2 or are they line 1 here, Mac?
Well, I mean, I think we've already seen that my estimation skills might not be the best. I think probably what they're thinking is at this point any old hit will do for the Peterman Gallant combos. So you just try to make that as long and high of an angle as you can, right?
Yeah. So Corey's just guarding here with his last one. They're in a really good position already, so they're just trying to maintain that offense here. Gonna tick this first one here.
It's not too bad.
No, that's actually a pretty good shot.
Pretty good. So now I think you got to run that blue back, eh?
Well, it's actually, I don't know if they're playing that, but it actually worked out better for them because it's taken away almost both run backs on those yellows.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So Brett has to pull a rabbit out of his hat here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck it and pray.
It'd be a real big win just to give Jocelyn any shot for one right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just try to clean it out as much as you can. Do you just nose it and just try to kind of? No, you probably got to just drive that back and hit the top. I don't even know.
I think if you can ever hit the blue into about half that left side of that yellow, then you're going to lose that one that's in the top 4, or at least squirt it a little bit more out of that 4-foot, and they might just be line 1 on you that's kind of wide open, and that would be your best bet at possibly scoring. But a lot of stuff can go wrong too on this shot. If if you're a little bit higher low side, it could actually work in the other team's favor here as well. So big shot here for Brett.
Yeah, this is what we would colloquially refer to as being in jail if you're Peterman and Gallant.
Yeah. So it looks like he's aiming at playing his own blue one back. It's not the best angle. Like ideally, you'd want to be throwing a run back that would be on the guard on the left side of that house, just because it'd be coming in at a better angle into those yellows. But the good thing about this one is it's your own rock coming in. So if this rock does stay in the house, at least it's your color and not them.
Yep, absolutely. It's kind of tough to get a view. We can see plenty of weight.
He's close. He's real close on this. Yep.
And
wow.
that's as good as you can do.
That is that is get out of jail card right there in the old Monopoly game. He pulled it.
Oh boy. Well, that'll give Jocelyn a look, and that's all you can hope for, eh?
Yeah, and blue is actually miraculously lying 1 now. Looks like they're shot rock by about an inch. So So they have, the Americans still have a good out here. They have if they can make a nice draw to the top of the button, then I think that it'll still put a lot of pressure on the Canadians. But was that a heck of a shot right there?
Oh boy, that was as good as you could do. Good as you could do.
So this will be interesting. They're going a little bit wider with this. So we'll see what the ice is doing out here. It's close to draw the button path, but it's just about 6 inches wider. So chances are it'll be a little bit heavier out here.
Yep.
Line's looking pretty good early. They got to go on it.
Yep. Corey wants to go.
Yeah, line's great. It's by this guard, it looks like.
Yep.
We'll just see if the weight can stay on it.
There you go. Bring that in a little bit.
It's coming in here really nice.
Nope, gotta go. Oh. Ooh, little heavy.
Yeah, it's slightly heavy there, but still a good shot. It's over-buried by almost a full stone. And that just shows, again, how great this ice has been. Is, to be able to throw a bailout shot like that and to be able to get fully buried and over-buried with a halfway guard. So Joss will be trying to throw about back 4 foot weight and get real close to that blue guard.
Yep.
And tap this rock back about 5 inches for the deuce. So this is another real challenging shot for Joss, and we'll see what they got in them here.
I mean, the way this game's been going, would you expect anything less?
No, you bet. This is, and again, this is one of the key strengths of this team is they got Brett being able to sweep this one. So she has a little bit of margin error being a little bit tight, and Brett can sweep it to make sure that it stays off that guard.
This is the side that curls a little bit more too, so you want to be a little mindful. I think this whole end started when Brett over curled just a hair, and we'll see what Joss has got here.
Line looks pretty good out of her hand.
Yep. Just a nice, easy clean.
Yeah, it's starting to curl now.
Yep.
They got to stay on it here.
Yep.
It's all weight now. If she has the right weight, it should get by.
Yep.
It's by.
There we go.
Now we'll see if it has enough to move it. Here we go. It's going to be close. Is it 1 or 2?
What a shot.
Heck of a shot. I think it's just 1. I think it's just 1, but that was sure a heck of a shot. But 1 inch short of being a doozy for 2. So I think the Americans will retain their 4-3 lead.
Yep. Boy, what a game.
So that's a heck of a start to this game here. It's we've seen some great shot making, and that's why these two teams are in the final.
Yes, absolutely. That's how you get to a final. It's just been a clinic in shot making. My goodness.
So just to give you a bit more background on, I guess, Corey and Sarah, they played in the World Mixed Doubles Championship in Sochi, which was, I think, would have been right after the Olympics in 2015, and also in Sweden in 2018. So they've had a lot of experience on the international stage, and they seem to work very well together, as you've seen showcased today.
Yeah, and they actually they kind of have been on again, off again. I know that they played for a while, and then they played with a couple other people. I know Sarah Anderson was playing with Sean Baton, good friend of mine from Seattle, and Corey was playing with Jimmy Sinclair, but they kind of reunited last year and been kicking butt ever since.
And I've got to know these guys this year. I got to know them a little bit after just playing on the mixed doubles tour, and they're just two exceptional human beings. Very nice, very warm people, and it's been really nice getting to know them, and they're easy to cheer for, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're good folks, curlers.
Yeah, for the most part, eh?
For the most part.
Yeah.
You know.
So a bit of a miss there by Joss. I think she's struggled a little bit on her draws. Her hits are very accurate, but she's missed her last 2 draws, so we'll see if Sarah and the Americans can capitalize here again.
And taking that out turn. This is the turn to curl, and oh boy, Corey's on that right away too.
Lots of room here. Just seems.
It's got to need it for line.
Yeah.
For weight rather.
Yeah, it looks a little light here.
It's always kind of an interesting setup when the first two shots go sideways. You just kind of. Especially with four-person, there's a lot of, you see a lot of similar situations. There's a lot of unique rock placements and angles in the mixed doubles game. You're still going to try to come around again, but, kind of an interesting setup to start.
Yeah, I would say it's slightly favoring the team that doesn't have hammer here, which is the Americans, because the scoring area is being shrunk down to that 4-foot area right now, and the Americans still have either turn to get into that 4-foot, so we'll definitely have to see a few real good shots here from Brett to see if they can put some pressure on the U.S.
Yep. Brett coming out wide. Weight's looking good. He's trying to pound it into the center. Joss is coming in too. Boy.
Yeah, I think a perfect shot. If they can get the full forward top button here dead buried, which looks real close.
Yep, they're pretty close. Good shot.
Yeah, good shot. Just a shade light, but a real good spot, and that's better there than a little heavy, that's for sure, because it's a very usable rock here. So.
Yep, looks like Corey's just going to go ahead and rip the center.
Yeah, so this shot's mostly being dictated by the score. The fact that they're up 4-3, I think they're means that they want to kind of keep it a little bit open and avoid a big end for Canada. A pretty good strategy, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. Makes sense.
What do you think you do now here, Mac?
I kind of like the tap back. Just kind of tap that straight back, sit frozen, sit top, and just kind of bite in top four. See what they do.
Yeah, that's a good stone. Depends on how high that corner guard is, I guess. You could come around that too, but if it's too high, and then it's kind of unusable.
Yeah.
So looks like they're going with your call, or either the tap back or the guard.
Yeah. And this is, again, a little bit of the straighter side as well, so a little bit easier to play the tap. And they're pretty close. They're just playing the guard.
Yeah.
They're just going to guard. And it looks like Corey's raring to peel it.
Yeah.
Spent the past quadrennial playing front end for Heater McCormick, so he's plenty familiar with cleaning up some guards.
Canada's left a little bit of bait here. You can see half that stone, so you could pick that out of there, or even try to get underneath with a real finesse shot. But there's two options here.
Be a real about face, you rip the center guard, they throw it up again, and then you're going to try to go under. I mean, you could.
No, I think the two options are peeling or just pick that. So if they pick that, then they're left with the one on the back four.
Either one's good.
Yeah.
Either peel, right?
6-1, half dozen other kind of shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those when you hit one of them, you go, "That's the one I meant to hit."
Yeah.
That's the one.
You don't really verbalize it, so no one knows if you missed it or not.
Yep, exactly.
That's good. That's a tactical move if they're keeping percentages.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I meant to do that one, right? Absolutely.
So yeah, looks like they're going with the more defensive peel here, trying to keep it pretty simple. At this stage, you're saying, okay, if they get a deuce, they get a deuce, but they won't be getting any more than that. And if we make a good shot on their last one, they can keep them to one.
Yep, keep the hammer in the evens as well. Worth noting that neither teams use their power play either. And Sarah Anderson, and I've always found that this is very appropriate, from Broomall, Pennsylvania. Good for a curler. She lives in the Twin Cities. Played in 2013 Worlds, representing the U.S. I know that she played out of Minnesota in 2016, where she went to the World Juniors, and she got a couple silvers at the U.S. Ladies, both 2018 and 2016. So again, both of these teams are very polished, both in the four-person and mixed doubles discipline, and the shot making and execution we've seen has been evidence of that.
And more importantly, she's an Eagles fan, And I'm a huge Eagles fan too. Oh yeah. So I know they're in a big game today against the Bears. So hopefully you have your computer on streaming some curling and your TV on watching the Eagles beat up on the Bears today. We're keeping our fingers crossed for you. All our fans from Philly.
I'm mourning the loss of the Seahawks, so
yeah, that was
I'm a little sour. A little sour. Well, you know, you signed Sebastian Janikowski, and you know exactly what you're getting for better or worse.
Yeah, true that. This is an interesting call.
This is an interesting one. Huh.
Well, looks like they're just going to be forced into taking a point here.
Boy, that doesn't. I don't know. That kind of seems. That's a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, I was a little confused at that one.
I'm really just trying to straight back. Trying to get that straight back and stay a little straight on them.
Yeah,
I can't see how the double and roll out helps their situation any.
No, I think what they were trying to do was to lie two after that one. So if they'd hit that on the nose, I think the other one would have scooted out to the 8 foot. So, but I was a little surprised at the amount of weight they threw.
Yeah, that seemed like firm.
Yeah,
a little more. So now Corey just going to go ahead, put it right behind that lonely corner guard.
Yeah, this is a unorthodox end for mixed doubles with one rock and play.
Especially with given the past couple ends where we've had almost every rock and play. This is a bit of an interesting end. But, you know, that's the thing about mixed doubles. You never know what you're going to get. Nope. And he's got a good one here.
Needs to finish a little bit, but I think that as long as it's above that tee line, and it's buried for sure, so that's a very good preventative shot here. I think that.
Absolutely, peeking out the other side even.
Yeah, I think they have. Brett has one out here. It's to come around it, right on the tee line, and be. I think it'll curl enough on this ice to be buried. So they do have an out here, but it's a tricky shot.
Yeah. So the question is where do you put the broom? You just saw them throw it, so that'll give you a good indication. Yep, just put it right behind, and then. You know, take your chances.
Yeah, big shot for Joss here. She struggled a little bit on her draws today, so this is a chance to get that draw weight back and put some pressure, a little bit more pressure on those US, because a deuce here would be a tough tough to climb out of being down 3 here. So
absolutely. So looks like they're gonna play in the intern.
Yeah, and even if they're back 4, I think the goal here is to not give the U.S. a shot for 2. So as long as she's fully buried and somewhere close to that 4 foot is the goal for Brett and Joss coming up.
Yep, absolutely. Taking a little bit less ice than we've seen, and Brent wants to go right away.
Yeah,
oh, he's going. Here comes Joss.
Line looks pretty good. It's just as long as the weight's there, I think that it looks like it actually has to curl now.
Yep.
But we saw Corey's finish in there so much, so we'll see how this.
It'll finish just fine. They're going to get there. That's a great shot. Well done.
Yeah, that's a heck of a shot. I think that's almost as good as you can make. Can you see any of that there, Mac? Can you think you can dig that out with back ring or hack weight?
Oh boy, I think you can. I mean, that's the side that curls. It doesn't look like they're gonna try to. I don't think they're gonna try to just follow him down. Probably. What do you think? It's kind of back line weight. Nice and easy, bumper back.
Yeah, I think they'll be going for this because this is. If they have the right weight, the key on this one is the weight. If you throw too much weight, then you're obviously not going to be able to stick your shooter around, and probably won't curl enough to remove that blue one. So you want to be right around, just through back ring, just enough to tap that shot out of the 8 foot and keep your shooter around. So this is a real big finesse shot. If there's one person in the world you want to throw on this, it's probably a guy like Glenn Howard.
Yes, yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah. So a big shot here. This is could change the complexion of the game. They're either going to be tied, or they're going to be up 1 or 2 points here.
Oh, right out of his hand, they're going.
Yeah, it's curling early. We'll see how strong our man Corey is on this one, because they definitely have to sweep it. It's close, but is he on the top one?
Got it.
Oh, they tickled the top.
Oh. Big swing.
Just tickled that top one. That's a
big swing.
You betcha. So now we're all tied up here again after 5. That's a massive, massive change. So nice draw by Josh. Put some heat on Sarah, and she just clipped that top one.
The old 3-point swingaroo.
Just a quick note for all you guys listening at home. I think we have the most viewers here for this final. I think there's over close to 500, which is awesome. We'd love you to take a moment to please fill out our questionnaire. We'd love to get some feedback on our live stream this week. It will be posted in the live chat, and we thank those who have replied so far. So, yeah, don't be a stranger.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. We're happy to have you here.
So, Mac, what did you think about your first trip here to Canmore and Banff? Have you enjoyed the event? And, you know, why don't you give the viewers at home a bit of a taste of what you were able to experience this week?
Well, you know, never been to Camp Banmore before. My wife and teammate Em has, and she's sung its praises for a long time. She's always said that she wanted to go back to Lake Louise and the whole area. I mean, you know, being from Seattle, it's not like we're not used to mountains, but I will say the scenery around here is truly a cut above. It's easy to see why this is a bucket list destination for so many people, for whether it's skiing or snowshoeing or hiking or heck, curling. You know, I mean, honestly, anything you do around here is probably a little bit better than, you know, wherever you are. That's for sure. So, and you know, I've been saying all day, and we'll continue to. This is an absolutely first-class event from front to back. The people, the volunteers, the towns of Canmore and Banff have just been so friendly, so welcoming, and it's just been just A+++.
Right on. Well, it's great to hear. It's kind of our goal when we put this together about a year ago was we wanted to put together a marquee event in mixed doubles because there's not a lot of them around the world right now, and we wanted to make sure we captured a lot of that momentum from the Olympics, and we felt there'd be no better venue than, you know, what we got here in the mountains. So it's been, and also one of the other really cool things about this event is we didn't want to make it too you know, exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to make sure that if you know, if there's some local teams coming out and playing, and you know, they you know, they had nothing but great experience. They were able to play against people they've only watched on TV a lot of the time, so they were really you know, loved that side of the things, and I think it created a pretty cool venue. So we're I think this is the first of hopefully many years in this spiel, and we're looking forward to it.
I know I told Steve that if you open up the registration at 12, I'll be signing up at 12:01. Right on.
So. Yeah, we had a wait list this year, and I think that from all the teams we've talked to, they're going to be back. I don't know if you know, you guys didn't get this on the live stream, but there was we wanted to also keep the great traditions of curling alive here, so we wanted to make sure that sometimes curling can get a little intense and a little competitive. And you know, when I learned how to curl, it was from, you know, at the end of the Ed Wernick and Al Hackner era, and where curling, as much as you wanted to, you know, to win out there, as you had to also have a good time. Absolutely. And we had an awesome social night last night. The local committees brought in a really fun band that really was, you know, got everyone engaged, and it was rocking that Canmore Curling Club, and I think that's one of the key components as well, is you know, not only creating a great event on the ice and bringing in some great curlers, but also making it fun for the players, the volunteers, and the local you know, fan base as well.
Absolutely. No, and I would definitely say that is has been a good balance between the event, because yes, you know, especially, you know, competitive curling can get pretty dang serious sometimes, but it's nice to you know, blow off some steam, you know, chat with you know, I mean, we all these teams kind of spend a lot of time together over the course of the year, you know, and it's kind of nice to, you know, just see how everyone's doing, and yeah, it's just been a lot of fun.
I was talking to Braden Muscowie, who this is his first mixed doubles event, and I asked him, you know, I said, how's your experience been so far? And he said, you know, he goes, men's curling can be, you know, a bit of a grind, and it's also can get very intense and competitive, and we've sort of lost the social fun side of things. And he goes, with this, it's, it's just been a lot more sort of loose, and you have a beverage with your opponent after the game still, and he says it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air. So it's been that's great feedback there, and that's kind of one of the reasons I love mixed doubles is for that factor. Is it's just you don't take the game too seriously, and it's sort of a bit more of a looser game rather than playing so tight and having so much on the line all the time.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And I mean, I have no way of quantifying this, but it does seem like all the competitors have much more fun. I mean, listen, competitive curling is fun, but it's second order fun. It's like how when you climb a mountain, the climbing the mountain's not the fun part. The getting to the top's the fun part.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a bit of an interesting end here. Kind of a couple clicks and rolls and a couple good draws here by Corey. So we'll have a little conversation here what the best way to go about this is.
A couple of again uncharacteristic misses by Joss and Brett with their first few here have put them in a bit of trouble. So they're they're in a bit of heat here. This is a big end because it's the sixth end, so there's only 3 ends left. So essentially the U.S. have 2 hammers to 1 to the Canadians, and they'll want to score 1 here for sure. But if they can get a deuce this end, that'll really put them in a good position to finish off this game.
Yep, and also again worth noting that neither team has used their power play yet, and especially getting into the last end, that's the last couple ends that's gonna factor in. I have a good feeling we're going to see both in pretty short order here.
Oh, you bet. So actually, it looks like a bit of a tap coming up here.
Yep.
They might have waited too long on this one, eh? Is he by or?
Nope.
No. That is a.
I'm telling you, that side's curling more.
Yeah.
That side's just curling half a rock more.
Yeah, they just waited a bit too long on that one.
And there's a couple, they've just been a half rock, clicked on it. So now Corey and Sarah, the guards ticked over. I think they're just trying to figure the best spot to put that to be as pesky as they can.
Yeah, those 2 rocks are actually in a really good spot for the U.S. because Canada can't really freeze to them because yellow will still be first and second shot stone. So
you could come way around on the outturn side, try to get a bigger bite of the button.
That would be a Hail Mary with her last one if she needed that. Eh?
Yeah, absolutely. But
so Corey's going to try to come top 8 foot and bury about half a stone, and that'll really not really give any doubles to the Canadians, and also put the U.S. in a real prime scoring position here. So we'll see how this ends up.
And looks pretty good. He's off it. I think he's
it's a little heavy maybe.
A little heavy.
That's coming off a bit now.
Oh, I think he's going to be tapping his.
Yeah, it's definitely not curling enough, although I think that it needs to.
Oh, here it comes.
That's finishing in there nice.
He's going to try to get that down as far as they can. That's not a bad result. I mean,
it depends how buried it is. If you can get to 3/4 of that, then you can make that triple, I believe, still. Or at least make 2 of them go away.
I think it's just buried enough.
Yeah, looks like it's about half sunk at least, eh?
They need every little bit of turn on that one. They looking at the in-off? Yep, they're kind of looking at that. You don't ever like to be looking at this shot.
No, this is a bit of a next level call here if he calls this. I think that a lot of teams wouldn't even notice that those 2 over there until maybe your last stone, but under the circumstance.
Yeah, you're running out of options.
Yeah. I don't see they don't have a lot of good options on that first one. Because even if they freeze to it, as I said, they won't be shot rock, and U.S. will still be lying 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays this blue one. All right, actually, or plays a hit of some sort. How much can you see of that, Mac? I can't really, from my angle here. It looks like maybe half.
Scant half. Yeah, looks like a scant half.
Okay.
Yeah. Hit what you can see.
Yeah, if you can hit what you can see and make that double. And this is a huge shot for Brett. It's his last one here, so he doesn't have any more shots to bail him out. And if yellow's just line 1 after this, I think that's a significant win for Canada.
The Qualico mixed doubles turning point.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's got it. Oh, they gotta go. Oh, they gotta go. Oh. And again, just that little kind of extra bit of curl on that intern side coming home, is kind of biting them a couple times this end.
Yeah, they've over curled on quite a few in that spot. So, well, now it's. Yeah, I think they're in a prime position here now. The U.S. They're lying 3, and they definitely have to. I'd say have to throw a guard because now.
Oh yeah.
That one's wide open now. So I think if you could throw enough weight, she could make at least 2, possibly 3 get out of the house. But. Yeah, it looks like the Americans are just looking where to put this guard. Do they want to be in the house, or do they want to be out of the house? I guess it's a kind of a good position to be in because you're lying 3 and all in a good spot. So
and this is one again. You don't want to sit here and think about this too much.
no, the interesting thing is I know that that blue one, that one that Brett pointed out earlier, that one that's corner frozen in 12-foot, still is a usable stone. And if they hit that close to the nose, it might come right into that other yellow one that's shot rock. So that's why I think they're thinking of possibly coming in. Because if you do throw a guard and then they make that shot, then all of a sudden you might have a tough shot for 2. So the other factor that comes into play here is one of the only times when it matters if it's a man or a woman shooting, throwing the stone, because typically just because they weigh 50 more pounds and they have more muscle mass, is that the males can throw a little bit harder. So that's another factor. If Brett was throwing the last stone, they probably wouldn't want to be coming near that house. But the fact that it's Joss, she can still throw it extremely hard, but not quite as much as a male could. Yep. That's one of the reasons, what factors that might come into play when positioning this stone.
So yeah, it looks like they're just going to come down. Maybe sit. Do you sit frozen on that? Is that the best place to sit on that?
I would be hesitant to freeze. I think that the angles right now, if you freeze, they could get rid of 3 rocks still, and maybe even a quad. So I think that the perfect spot would be a nice tight guard. But they're coming in. I don't know why they're sweeping it.
I think they're over curling, so they're just trying to get what they can. I don't think that's what they wanted to do.
No. But the key with that shot, which is what makes it real good, is the fact that they're still beating out that one in the blue stone in the back 8.
Yep. And they're buried.
Yeah. So because interestingly, if it wasn't buried, you could actually throw a nose hit on that yellow stone and probably get all 4 of those yellows moving.
Oh, absolutely.
So this side blue one might come in here again. Or your shot where that you pointed out, that out turn Hail Mary, you might be using that one, Mac.
I think that's what you got to play. This is it's a story old as time. You can play the in off for one, or the regular old out turn draw for one.
Well, this is you never want to be throwing this shot because it's
nope, this is not ideal.
No, it's the trick. One of the challenge of this shot is you're going into, we call it no man's land, where it hasn't been played all game, going out this wide. So it's quite a guess. And
way wide, straighter side, bit of a guess.
And this is where your instinct, like, because you have experienced curlers like Joss and Brett, your chances actually are quite a bit better making this shot than if you've only played this game for a few years, because you wouldn't really realize that maybe you have to throw a bit more rotation and maybe 7 feet more weight out here.
Yep. And same with Brett. He's swept plenty of important draws before. He's not gonna get too nervous.
Yeah, he's a very cagey sweeper, that's for sure. Line looks pretty close here.
Yeah.
Line looks really close.
They got a good one here.
It just grabbed.
That is a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah, it looked real close coming in, and they just got off it again, and it overcurled. That seems to be the story of this end, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It looked like it just looked like not necessarily a pick, but it just looked like it kind of caught something. Because that's a real expensive one.
So a free draw for 5. This will blow the game wide open.
I think this may be curtains.
Yeah, they still have the power play left, so they may,
Give her a go, see what you can do, right?
in a normal curling game, this would be ball game. In mixed doubles, there's still a reason to watch because
you're never out.
So pretty straightforward draw here for Sarah. These are the ones you can't lose focus on because so easy to just count your chickens before they're hatched here. But that extra point is real big in mixed doubles. It's getting that 5th point rather than just 4. It's looking good, pretty good coming in. Nice keen path here, and there is a little bit of backing too. So you just don't want to be light on this one. And they're using the back, and unless it missed, they don't want it to touch that yellow. Wow. Almost made it for 6. Yeah. That would have been salt in the wound.
Absolutely.
If that.
Yeah.
So we've a bit of a sloppy end by Jocelyn and Brett. I don't think they made. I don't know if they made any shots in that end.
There was a full make that whole end. That's well, and there's another wrinkle of mixed doubles. If you have a couple full misses, you're pretty hooped. So I have a feeling we'll see the power play. Looks like they're going to go over to the left side of the sheet going away. I have a feeling we're going to see the tick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you betcha. Well, we'll see. They've called a little bit of different strategy this game, so maybe they'll play the freeze or something else. But
honestly, maybe we just draw the 4.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
At this point, it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah. If they can make just over half the rest of their shots, they should be in pretty good shape here.
Yep.
So, you try not to get demoralized if you're in Joss and Brett's position. They just had a really, really tough end there. But, if you can get a 3 back here, and that's the thing with this power play is, if you get 1 miss and you make all your shots, you can get a 3 ball right back here, and then you're only down 2, and anything can happen in that last end as long as you're within a couple points, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. You just got to be close.
Yeah.
You just got to be close, make your shots. And
so a nice shot by Sarah. She accomplished the goal of getting rid of that corner guard. I'm not sure if she shot rock there at all, but I would say a pretty decent result there for that.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it's always nice, but the ticks, that's a good tick.
Yeah, that's as good as you can get for power play defense right there. So I guess the strategy here is to freeze to this one now, and because the other team still can't hit. So there is still a 3 on the board, but you have to be almost extremely precise with every shot now in this end.
Yep, your margins for error are very thin to begin with. So, and it's some good ones here. This looks like a bit of weight. Starting to come over now. This is one of those scenarios where, it looks a little heavy. That's unfortunate. It's one of the things that's kind of hard to explain. I live in the States and there's not as much curling awareness, and one of the things that it's kind of difficult to explain is there's shots in curling where a foot shorter, it's about as good a shot as you can throw, and a foot heavier, it's about as bad of a shot as you can throw. And that's kind of one of those.
Yeah, I think that looks like the Americans will just be freezing to this. That's again, one of the great things about mixed doubles is it's good for in a typical game of curling, it would be a little bit boring at this point because the strategy is pretty robotic, and it's just run them up and down the ice. Where the fact that you can't hit with your first 2 stones, if you don't have the hammer in mixed doubles, it makes you still play. And I think that's one of the great things about the sport is that you can't run and hide, and you have to be a real good all-around curler. You can't just be a hitting specialist or a drawing specialist. You need to have everything in the bag. And there's a good case in point. That's a bad miss by Corey. I think he
back in.
Yeah.
In fact, that's. Oof. That's a real expensive one right there.
Yeah, that's maybe just lost his focus there for a bit, but yeah, it would have been. That's one of those where it's better if you don't throw, because now that's a rock that will make it tougher to eliminate that blue stone now.
And Brett's just going to go ahead and freeze down that one on the corner. Sarah's first stone. And he just had a good look at Corey throwing it, so he has a good idea what the ice is doing. He looks a little heavy himself.
Yeah, and it's not curling as much, so I think they're going to play a plan B to tap this just a little bit low side to freeze on the back one now. Yeah, so that's not a bad. Yeah, so they called an audible there. It wasn't curling enough, so again, you got to be able to adapt, and that's a kudos to their experience from being in the back end for a lot of the.
Well, would you ever think 3 shots ago they're going to be sitting 3?
No, I'd say they're looking good for a deuce at least here, and the U.S. have to make a great shot to just to hold them to 2 here.
And it's like we said, and it's proving true. Like, you're just never out of a mixed doubles game.
No. I'm not sure if I'd be a little tempted to hit that other open blue one with firm weight and actually roll into this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm this
absolutely.
because this you can double jam this.
Yeah, charity double.
Yeah.
It's there.
It looks like he's just playing a hit to get rid of the one and then the back, that yellow backing. So that's what it looks like with this one.
As well.
Yeah.
Kind of the peel of shame.
Yeah, it's coming with some heat here. Looks like he's going to be a little high side.
Oh boy, now the 3's really in play.
Yeah, I don't think that's. See, I wasn't sold on that shot.
I don't know why you just don't hit the open one. This is kind of one of those. If you're defending a lead, try to find the easier hit and take it out.
Now Brett will have the same freeze that he was trying on his first one, and typically you won't see him miss this twice. He's got a good read of the ice from the first one. Looks like it's getting a little straighter here, so he's tightened up the ice a little bit, and if he can make a good freeze here, then it'll get interesting this end.
Yep, he's made a lot of money off of shots like these, so I'm sure he's gonna get a good one here.
Needs to curl again. It's running straight again on them. They seem to be getting caught on this a little bit, but it's starting to finish now. They need to be third shot. That's for sure here. So we'll see where this goes. And they are.
Ooh.
I think they're just third shot. A little shorter than he wanted it. It's left Corey the double. He's left Corey the possible double again, but they wanted to be flush on that yellow. That would have eliminated the chance of removing two blue stones on this side of the sheet.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, kind of a wild end. Not the excellence of execution per se, but a lot of interesting things happening.
Yep.
I think all the players just maybe getting a little bamboozled with some changing ice conditions.
Yeah, it seemed to be getting the hair straighter there. So Corey's got this double. I call this a two-way double. You can kind of make it either way.
Yep.
You can make it off the pro side or the low side of that second blue. So there's a little bit of margin error for here. He looks a little thin on it though.
Oh yeah, he's a little wide. It's sailing. Oh no! Still makes it.
Yeah, there you go. He just clipped that back one. So big shot. That's gonna limit them to 2 here at the most now. So.
Absolutely. But Brent will make this one, I have no doubt.
So now you just have to bear down and take your deuce here, and hope you can get a miracle in the 8th end. So.
Yeah, you need a little help, anyways.
Yeah.
That's a good shot.
That's the one they were looking for on the last one.
Yep, that's the one. Exactly. Well, Well, you need a little bit of help, but this shot's not entirely without danger.
So that's a good power play defense when you're up 5 points and you can limit the opposition to 2. That's a win.
Yes, absolutely. Especially since they're going to be playing their power play in the 8th end coming home. You know, I've heard some rumblings about this, John, and tell me what you think. There's some talk of changing the rules so you can't use your power play in the 8th end because it makes things a little anticlimactic.
Well, I think that I haven't heard that one yet, but I think that I wouldn't be for that because I think that.
Oh, they're going to jam.
Yeah, but oh no, they just got enough.
Just got enough.
Yeah, that would have been interesting because they could have played that in off their own for 3. But now it's interesting you mentioned that. I haven't heard that one. I think that I don't think it's a good idea to because then you're only limited to using your power play as an offensive factor rather than a possible defensive factor. I think what would be more interesting is giving each team 1 power play per 4 ends. So 2 each in a game, and I think that would really change the maybe the basic strategy quite a bit, and it would show a lot different types of shots that you'd have to throw, and also make for a real more interesting game. So what do you think about that? Having 4?
I think that that's an awesome idea. I'd be in for that 100%. Let chaos reign.
Yeah. So I've heard that one. I've heard talks of that one, and I'd have to say I'd probably be in favor of that. I think that it would add a bit more of an element to the game of mixed doubles, and I think that it would only make for more interest in curling to watch.
Absolutely. I think it kind of underscores one of the things I like about mixed doubles too is that, when people start talking about making a change to the 4-person game, people can get their shorts in a bunch. And it looks like Joss got a pretty good shot here.
That's rolling quite a bit further than they think, actually.
Oh boy, unreal.
And that's it. We got ball game here. Handshakes after 7. Our final score is Team Anderson and Dropkin 9, and Team Gallant and Peterman 5. And your inaugural winners of the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic, a team from the USA, none the least. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Canadians at home not loving that one, but it seems like it's just not our year for Canadians in sports.
Yeah, it makes that World Juniors loss a little easier to take.
You guys lost to Finland yesterday?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Last minute.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, I was actually watching that game with Corey last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyhow, we'd like to thank you guys for being part of this first ever event. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Saw a lot of great shots today, and we'd like to congratulate both our teams in the final. And hopefully you tune in again. We'll be back next year to the Qualico Mixed Doubles Classic from Banff and Canmore, Alberta. Take care.